Hello, my name is Sonali and I welcome you back to another episode of Around the World in 7 Days. In the arena of international diplomacy, relationships work in strange manners. Here, it's very difficult to say who is with whom. It's not easy to guess when your friend will become your enemy or vice versa. On the basis of this, different countries of the world are engaged in making themselves strong and the opponent weak. We keep seeing this diplomatic tug of war, especially in the case of America, China, and Russia. These three countries keep the world thrilled by showcasing their tactics on the global stage. In this, America sometimes tries hard to weaken China and sometimes it tries to checkmate Russia. In this regard, even China is not far behind America. It also keeps on petering the USA. However, this time, instead of America, China has put Taiwan in trouble. Actually, Honduras, which till now was a supporter of Taiwan, has now switched sides to establish diplomatic relations with China, or to say, it has become an ally of China. In this regard, an agreement was also signed between the foreign ministers of Honduras and China. Honduras then released an official statement stating that it was severing all ties with Taiwan. It recognizes one China policy. It means that Beijing is the only legitimate government representing the whole of China. According to the statement, Taiwan is an integral part of China. That's why Honduras is breaking its diplomatic ties with Taiwan. From now on, it will have no official relations or contacts with Taiwan. At the same time, Taiwan's foreign minister, Joseph Wu, reacted to this and said that Taiwan has ended its relations with Honduras to protect its sovereignty and dignity. In such a situation, the question arises that why has Honduras severed relations with Taiwan? Why did it leave Taiwan and went to China's side? Apart from this, what are the issues due to which the Honduras did not hesitate to break the 8 decades old relationship? We will try to find answers to all these questions one by one. But first of all, let us understand the background of other countries' relations with Taiwan, which will make it easier for us to understand the recent event. So the real story of Taiwan began in the 1940s. Actually, in the year 1947, the era of Republic of China started, which ruled both the mainland China and Taiwan. Later on, China got divided into two factions, due to which civil war took place in China in the year 1949. In this division, the communists led by Mao Zedong defeated the nationalist Kuomintang party led by Chiang Kai-shek. After the defeat from the communists, Chiang Kai-shek went to Taiwan and formed his government, and the communists ruled the mainland China. Both these governments were engaged in claiming themselves to be the real representatives of China. In such a situation, they started gathering support in their favor. Friendship between Taiwan and Honduras started during this phase only. However, initially this friendship was centered on hostility towards communism in the Cold War era, as both were anti-communism. But later on, after economic liberalization, as trade relations increased, Taiwan received diplomatic support in return for providing economic assistance to Honduras. In fact, after extraordinary economic growth in the 1980s and 90s, Taiwan earned diplomatic recognition from many countries through financial and technical assistance. In the year 1998, Taiwan also created a fund of about $240 million, which was supposed to be used for 8 purposes. It used this fund to retain the support of its Central American allies. Along with this, Taiwanese companies were also encouraged to invest in allied countries. The effect of all this was that about 22 countries had established diplomatic relations with Taiwan by 2016. But now, after the separation of Honduras, there are only 13 countries left that have diplomatic relations with Taiwan. These countries include 4 small island countries located in the Pacific Ocean, Eswatini in southern Africa and Paraguay in South America, as well as 6 Central American and Caribbean countries. Now let's come to our next question. Why did Honduras end its relationship with Taiwan? Actually, China has always been aggressive about its claim on Taiwan. It has even said many a times if there is a need to use force to take Taiwan under its control, it will not hesitate to do so. In such a situation, countries that recognize Taiwan or even try to increase relations with it will have to face China's opposition and threat of action against them. Apart from this, China also adopts diplomatic methods at different levels to favor the countries supporting Taiwan or having diplomatic relations with it. In this, the one which China uses the most is dollar diplomacy. With the help of this, China succeeded in getting many countries to break their relations with Taiwan. Even in the case of Honduras, experts are holding China's dollar diplomacy responsible. If Taiwan's foreign minister Wu is to be believed, then Honduras has gone with China because of money. According to him, Honduras had sought $2.5 billion in aid from Taiwan. Apart from building a hospital and a dam, it has also asked for loan waiver. But when Taiwan did not agree to this, Honduras sided with China. If we look at Wu's allegations, there is some truth in it because Honduras Foreign Minister Eduardo Enrique Reina had said last month that his country is in debt beyond manageable limit. Taking advantage of this, China began to woo Honduras and eventually succeeded in separating Honduras from Taiwan. Well, despite China's aggressive campaign of isolating Taiwan, Taiwan maintains informal relations with more than 100 countries. But most important of all, it has strong informal ties with the United States. Although it does not have diplomatic relations with the US has maintained that Taiwan is an important partner country in the Indo-Pacific. In this way, America directly favors Taiwan. At the same time, the battle for supremacy is already going on behind the scenes between China and America. Therefore, the decision of Honduras can be seen as China's growing influence in South America. Now it's turn for the program's Sunday Special, in which we will talk about other important international news. In Israel, protests continue unabated across the country after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proposed a plan for major changes in the country's judicial system. Thousands of people are taking part in these anti-government protests. It is being called the biggest protest ever in the history of Israel. Protests have been going on in the country for the past 10 weeks. Nearly 2 lakh people have participated in these demonstrations in the capital, Tel Aviv. Critics say that the government's proposed changes will undermine democracy in the country. The effect of these demonstrations was also seen in India. Israel's embassy in India participated in the strike, which was called by Israel's largest labor union. Later, a statement by the embassy said that the embassy would remain closed until further notice and no consular services would be provided during this time. Recently, the International Monetary Fund approved an extended fund facility of $2.9 billion to support Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is going through economic difficulties since last year, and this decision has been taken in view of the crisis. It is believed that the fund will help stimulate Sri Lanka's economic growth and facilitate structural reforms. Furthermore, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has announced that the approval of this loan will enable the government to restore the confidence of stakeholders in Sri Lanka. After US Secretary of State, now Vice President Kamala Harris went on a visit to Africa. During this, she visited countries like Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia. This is being seen as America's increasing proximity to African countries. At the end of the year, US President Joe Biden is also expected to visit Africa. All this is happening at a time when America is facing a tough challenge from China and Russia. So that's all in today's episode. See you on Wednesday. But before that, let's note down today's question. Constant reduction in the number of allies will make it difficult for Taiwan to counter China. Critically examine.